The recent Resident Evil showcase revealed a pretty lengthy clip of gameplay for the RE4 Remake, giving us a much better look on the combat and the new mechanics added that were not from the original. In this video, I will be analyzing the gameplay in depth and go through all the secrets and hidden details that you might have missed throughout. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Right off the bat, we see Leon walking through the dark and creepy forest in the very beginning of the game. When compared to the original, it looks like this time around the player will explore the area a bit before reaching the first house. Now when Leon is walking through the woods, he states how far could he have gone, which is implying that the two officers ran ahead of Leon out of his view, which is kind of funny because in the original, as we know, the two cops just hid in the car. From there we see Leon approach the house, showing that there will be a new crouch mechanic in the game. Leon then steps foot in the house, and right off the bat we can see that the first house has been heavily expanded upon from the original. There are multiple doors leading to multiple rooms, and this house even has a basement. We also see a glimpse of Leon opening a door that leads into the room from the original game, but it doesn't look like the first Ganado is in there for the remake. We then move into the basement, which really shows you how creepy and unsettling they are making this game. It is very dark, there is all types of bones hanging from the ceiling, and there is rotting flesh of some type of animal. It just really sets that chilling tone for what's to come. Now when Leon reaches the back of the basement, he finds a mauled body of one of the police officers that took him here. We hear the other police officer presumably requesting backup right before he screams in agony. The radio sound alerts the Ganados upstairs, so from there we see Leon come face to face with his first Ganado. As you can see, just like from the original, the Ganado will grab a hold of Leon and you will have to break free. However, we do see that there is a new mechanic implemented with the knife where you can stab the Ganado to break free instantly. This was used in past Resident Evil remakes and it worked very well in having multiple options to defend yourself when an enemy grabs you. Now in the RE2 and 3 remakes, you were also able to defend yourself with other things besides the knife, like grenades and flash grenades. And even though we saw no use of the 3 types of grenades used in the original, I think it's very likely that they will return and will be used to break free from Ganados. Now in the gameplay, we also got a look at the hood, and it looks like the same sort of mechanic will be added in the remake, where you start off with about half of your maximum HP and slowly use yellow herbs to fully max out your health by the end of the game. We then see Leon slam open a door and crouch down to try and hide from a Ganado passing by, which leads me to believe that there will be some sort of stealth implementation added to the game. Now from here we see Leon run up some stairs to the second floor and make his way into a new room. Now as we know, there was a second floor in the original game, but once again it was a lot less expansive compared to the remake. Right when you walked up the stairs, the window was right there, whereas in the remake there is an added room on the second floor that has the window that Leon jumps out of. I really like how they are expanding the first house in the beginning, as I feel like this intro sequence will leave a much bigger impact than before. Now when Leon enters the room upstairs, he finds this image of a girl. Even though she wears similar attire to Ashley, I think this is someone else due to the difference in her hair. Maybe it's a friend of Ashley's from college that was also kidnapped. Right next to the image of the girl, we can see a part of the map that shows the lake, with a red X just barely in view. I'm going to assume that this red X is where the girl in the image is located. Also in this scene, we can see the word Valde Lobos, which is the name of the village. There's no translation for the name of the village, but there is a similar word referred as Villa Lobos, which can be translated to Town of Wolves. The next scene shows Leon viewing the map, which gives us a full view of it. There is also multiple pictures scattered on this wall that I unfortunately can't really make out aside from these few images of certain people. Leon then contacts Hunnigan, giving us our first look at her. Unfortunately, the call between the two was interrupted when a few Ganados break down the door with their axes and force Leon to jump out of the window, which is something I am very happy to see return from the original. From there, Leon progresses through the dark forest, passing a bridge with a trail of blood in the process. Now I'm not sure if this is the same bridge from the original, but if it is, then it looks like the Ganados that run away off the cliff will not be returning, since we didn't hear them at all in this clip. After passing the bridge, Leon comes across a rundown shack with a breakable barrel right outside. Instead of knifing barrels like in the original, it looks like Leon just kicks the barrels to break them in the remake. Now when Leon walks in the shack, we instantly see the iconic typewriter will be returning. Hopefully they bring back that amazing save theme to go with it as well. Now after that, we see Leon continue down the path, where he finds that he is too late to save the dog from the bear trap, which is super sad to see. Right next to the dog, there is a crow that Leon shot down, down, and as you can see, there is a small white glowing line that shows you where the pesetas are to pick up. After picking up the treasure, Leon then progresses into another rundown shack. He opens a drawer which reveals a handgun ammo box, which is the same model from the original. From there, Leon finds an old-fashioned truck, which looks like the exact same truck from the original that crashed into the cops in the beginning. We then stumble upon some ganados past the truck. Leon shoots the first one in the head and proceeds to use a kick action to take them down. The ganado dies, and we once again see that small glowing white light where you pick up treasure. Leon then shoots the other ganado a few times and runs off. Now, a few things I want to point out are that we can see this town sign right here, which is a callback to the original game. Also, when the ganados speak in this clip, you can hear that they state similar quotes to the original game. Aside from this, in the Resident Evil showcase, a different clip of this gameplay was revealed that shows Leon parrying the Ganado's attack, which is another brand new feature that will be added into the game. Now moving on, Leon eventually makes his way to the main village area, where we see him use the set of binoculars just like in the original to see that the Ganados have burned down the other cop. After that, we see Leon proceed to play out the village sequence. Now as we saw, the roundhouse kicks will be returning. We didn't see Leon suplex any enemies in the gameplay, but even so, because they are retaining that action-heavy approach, I do believe that we will see the suplex return, as well as the other mercenaries melee moves if Capcom brings back Hunk and Wesker in that game mode. Moving further into the gameplay, we can see that Leon shoots down a lantern that sets a cow completely on fire. This is another thing that they brought back from the original, where you shoot down a lantern to damage enemies and in some cases reveal hidden treasures. Next, we see Leon pass this wagon, which briefly shows a model for the red herb. Then Leon proceeds in the house, which triggers the cutscene with Dr. Salvador. Now I must say, I am really digging the new look for the chainsaw guy. I honestly like the look for most of the enemy models we have seen so far, as it really seems that they are trying to make these enemies look as terrifying as possible. Now the new mechanics for Dr. Salvador are a very nice touch. He's a lot bigger than the other Ganados, and he is a lot more aggressive than the original, which really makes him able to stand out. Now as we get further into this village fight, a Ganado grabs Leon, and we get to see that knife counterattack in action. From there, we get this scene of Dr. Salvador ripping this building apart with his chainsaw while rushing towards Leon. Leon then throws this Ganado on the ground and shows us that you can finish off enemies on the ground with a knife. From there, we can see that the player will be able to defend Dr. Salvador's chainsaw attack by blocking the knife, which is kind of disappointing, as I feel like this could lead to Dr. Salvador being less intimidating. Now that was pretty much all of the gameplay we got so far, but there were a few gaming companies like IGN that were able to play the game early and give us a few more details on the combat. It's been stated that if the player climbs to the top of the big tower in the village, it will then collapse and cause Leon to fall to the ground. Also, Dr. Salvador will be able to break through any building in his way. And lastly, IGN has confirmed that the iconic bingo line will return in the remake.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Now after the gameplay, we get our first look at the inventory, and I am happy to say that this has the exact same layout as it did in the original. This icon right here looks like your map screen, this one looks like it will be your key items and treasures, this one will be your item screen, this icon is the new crafting mechanic which I will talk about in a second, and this last icon will be where your files are located. Another thing we can see in this clip is that the knife will be held in your briefcase. Now in this next image, we can see the exact model for Leon's starting pistol, which is the SG-09R. We can also see some new crafting materials that can be combined to create certain items. It then moves on to the crafting screen, where we can see the items that you were able to craft, and it looks like pretty much all these items were from the original. You got all the different herb combinations and the shotgun and handgun bullets. Something that's interesting is there seems to be two different types of knives that you can obtain. Also, something worth pointing out is we can see that the next objective is to head to the lake. From there, we get our very first look at the merchant, which I must say he does look very good, but even so, his voice just doesn't hit like the original does.
Over here, stranger.
Next, we get our first look at the buy screen, and there is definitely a lot to go over. Looking at the buy selections, we can see we have the pistols and SMGs, the shotguns and rifles, the healing items and materials, the attaché case upgrades, the treasure maps, and the weapon attachments. The first weapon we can see is the bolt thrower, which seems to be some sort of crossbow / mine thrower hybrid, because the description states that it can shoot bolts and proximity explosives. The next weapon is going to be the W870, which is probably just the standard pump shotgun shotgun you pick up off the wall in the beginning. Then we have the SRM 1903, which was the first sniper you could buy in the original game. Something they added was a limited time deal where you can unlock a scope for free if you buy the weapon. Now something interesting to point out in the description is that various scopes can be mounted on this gun, which tells me that there will be a lot of customization in the game. A lot of people have been asking where the laser sight is, and I bet it's just gonna be an attachment you can buy and equip to your gun in the remake. Now just below the sniper you can see the scope, the first aid spray, the case upgrade, and a new recipe for bolts, which basically if you buy that you will be able to craft bolts with certain materials. We then get our first look at the tune-up section, which shows us that you will be able to upgrade your knife, which is pretty interesting. They then show us a new trade mechanic where you can find these pink diamonds and trade them for various items. One of these items is a treasure map that shows us a view of the village, but unfortunately it's kind of hard to make out what and where everything is. Lastly, we have this official screenshot of the merchant that shows that the TMP and the semi-auto sniper will be returning. I know that Capcom probably won't bring back every weapon from the original, but I really hope they bring back most of them because pretty much every weapon is loved by fans. And there you have it guys, that was the full gameplay breakdown / analysis. In my next video, I will be breaking down the RE4 Remake map, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now before you guys go, me and a few other Resident Evil YouTubers have come together to create a horror game Discord. We have a ton of big plans for this Discord, and I really hope to build a great community in there. So with that said guys, definitely make sure to stop by. The link will be in the description. But anyways guys, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.